All right, guys, we're live. How's everyone doing? It's Ramon Parker, a Master here, and we are on Tech Talk episode number 2, our first Tech Talk Tuesday. For those who tuned in last Thursday and left comments and the like, I very, very much appreciate it. Today's episode, we have a couple things to talk about. For one, I had a comment I put up from Will the Thrill. He asked me, he said he is interested in knowing what it takes to make apps that accumulate streams of income. I'm going to pull up the full comment here so I can, I don't want to play that. All right. I'm interested in knowing what it takes to make apps that can accumulate streams of income. You mentioned Twitter, which I didn't know before. I make apps for fun and for reasons I think would have a wide use. So I responded to him in the comments on the first Tech Talk video and basically told him that any app can make money, but it really comes down to marketing. Because you can have the best app functionally in the whole world, but if no one knows about it, you're not going to make a dime. On the other hand, you can have apps such as Blackbird, which is intrinsically useless, and they make $30,000 a day. So it really is something honestly knows what it's about. Now, let's say that you have an app, and you have enough people willing to watch and use it, too much feedback. There's too much feedback. All right, hold on 1 second. Is it better now or no? Let me know if there's still an arrow. Because it might be I'm in this corner right here, and I don't know what I might need to move. Is that better? Yes or no? I would assume it's better if you talking. So let's say you do have an app, and you have enough people who are going to use it. So now the fact is, the fact that you're not worried about having an audience, but having to profit off of this audience. So there's basically a few main ways to make money. You have paid for apps, and which you charge a flat fee, and when they pay, that's it. You don't get any more revenue. So you're basically trying to get volume. You can get paid for volume. You have subscription-based model, where you're going to pay a set monthly fee, and usually it's tiered. You have like free version, basic version, premium version, platinum version, so on and so forth. That typically does better than just straight out paid apps because you're getting recurring revenue. Can't hear me. All right. Let me hold on 1 second. Is that better? Yeah. Let me. Okay, I'm hearing it now.
Is that can you hear me better now or no? Can you hear me better now or no? All right, I don't hear. There's a lag in the video. All right, cool. All right, I think I fixed it. Um, if it's not fixed, let me know. I apologize about that. So back to what I was saying. So you have subscription based, and that's typically better because you're getting recurring revenue, whether it's daily, weekly, monthly, or yearly. So another version that you have is in-app purchases. So this would be things like you write a game and you can buy extra lives in the game, or you can buy extra gold in the game. Um, and then lastly, there is in-app advertising, which is the most common way. So apps like YouTube. What did I do? I lowered the worked on the sound properties and dropped down the I don't even know what say. I was playing with settings, to be honest. Yeah, so you have straight up paid apps, you have subscription based, you have in-app purchases, and you have in-app advertisements. And what I tell people is basically try to have a mixture of these different um, revenue streams. So you will hear a term used frequently called freemium, where basically the app is free to download, but if you want to unlock extra features, you either have to pay a subscription or you can do in-app purchases um, to get extra features. So it doesn't completely hinder you if you do not um, pay for it, but if you do pay for it, you get a fuller experience. So for example, you may not choose to do the subscription, but you want to buy the power ups. But if you do the subscription, you get X amount of power ups a month and they refill. You see, you mix and match them together, and that will bring you the biggest basket of money because it's diversified. It's like owning real estate and owning stocks. Like you can make money in both, but you can also make money together, diversifying. So what I tell people starting out, especially, is and especially if you decide you want to go into web development, um, is to start out trying to create a subscription-based SaaS app, and SaaS stands for System as a Service or Software as a Service, SaaS. So there's an app, Laracast, and it is a web app where you can watch Laravel tutorial videos by people who are like highly ranked in the Laravel community. So I want to say it's $9.99 a month, um, and you get access to these videos. So that's one thing. Or Laravel Forge, which is I'm grandfathered in, so I only pay $10 a month. I think it's 15 now. And that provisions your servers for Laravel applications, so you don't even have to worry about all of those DevOps commands. That's typically the route that so for example, Treat Me at Home. Treat Me at Home does in-app purchases as well as subscription based. So as a customer, you can buy services from service providers either as a one-time cost, or if you really like them and they offer subscriptions, you can subscribe to that provider's plan. And I take percentages from both aspects. And then also providers can become premium providers, and there's a subscription fee associated with that. So I always suggest a subscription base because it's kind of like owning real estate. It's like owning a rental property, right? So you might own this duplex and you rent out each apartment for $500 a month. You're getting $1,000 a month off that duplex, and you're getting that every month residually, whether it rains, sleets, you can be on vacation, you know, you can be sick in the hospital, that rent's still going to come on the first. So I view apps as virtual real estate. You know, you get enough people using your app, and then you can make as much money as much money as you want to. So, for example, when I was in college, I had a classmate. His name was Derek, and Derek wrote iOS apps. And one day, me and him were walking after class, and at this time, I was working at the library on campus as a tech consultant, and I was also doing my own thing on the side. So we were talking about work, and I asked him where he worked, and he was like, "Well, actually, I don't have a job. All my apps pay for all my expenses." And I was like, "Okay, well, what kind of app do you have?" And he's like, "I have a couple. I have one that's a radio podcast type app, and another one, I can't remember what the other one was. But anyway, one was got money from ads, and he had so many thousands of downloads. And then the other one was a subscription-based service ad, and I think it was $5 or $10 a month for to use that app. And he had a few thousand people, or about 1,000 people, not like 900, 800, 900 people using that app, paying $5, $10 a month. So you know, he was, and he paid an offshore Indian company to like maintain the back end for it. And so he had to pay them, I think it was like $2,000 or $2,500 a month to manage both the apps. So basically, he was pocketing like $6,000 a month, and of course that fluctuated based with the ads. You know, some months he had more money coming in from ads, some months he had less money coming in from the ads. But long story short, all this money is coming residually. So he's paying for his rent, he wasn't on a scholarship, so most of that money was going to pay for tuition and rent. He had a car, he was paying the car note on it, paying car insurance. He had a cell phone in his apartment, and he had to pay his utility, you know, water, electric, internet. And all of this is being paid for from 2 apps that he wrote in high school. And then it started generating money until about his freshman year in college. And then by the time we were seniors in college, he's making bukus of money. And when I moved out to California, I met a lot of people like that. I met a lot of people who are living a dream. And I kind of had this misconception that you have to have, sorry about that, my allergies are killing me. You have to have like bukus of money to like live that luxurious lifestyle. And it's like, you don't. You just have to make enough money to meet the financial equivalent to your lifestyle. So if you only live a lifestyle that's, you know, $2,000, if you can find some way to make $2,000 residually, knowing that you'll be able to live your lifestyle and all your expenses are paid for, why would you not learn a skill that can do that? And that story really pushed me to pursue doing apps, because before that, I was basically doing just a freelance gig. You know, I'm doing stuff for other people, but the whole writing apps for myself, for the purpose of making money, he kind of influenced me with that, because I've written apps before this time, but they weren't for the purpose of making money, you know, trying to better society and stuff like that. But so those are basically the main ways. And so let's talk a little deeper about each specific of those ways. But first way I want to talk about is like in-app purchases, right? So there's multiple ways you can go with that. You can try to sell big items, like big ticketed items, and make your money that way. Or you can try to do small, or what are called microtransactions, and try to get those in volume. So for example, let's say you only make $1 off each transaction. Let's say you create a some sort of e-commerce site, and you're working on people can sign up and sell hand-me-downs. I don't know, stuff that their kids don't wear anymore. You can sell it on this platform. And you, as the app developer, you take 1%. Okay? Let's not say 1%. We're talking close. Let's just say you make $1 per transaction. There's $1 transaction fee associated with every time someone sells their product on your platform. So if you have 10 people using, or let's say you got one dedicated person who's selling stuff. You're only making a couple, like $5-10 a day, and then a couple months later you have 20 people selling stuff. Now you're making $100 a day. A few months later, now you got 200 people. Now you're making like $1,000 a day. It just increments, and the kicker is it's the same code that you wrote however many months ago. You may have had to spend 5-10 hours a month adding new features, doing stability fixes, and things of that nature, but the core app was more or less written one time, and you're still profiting off of that work. And that is the end goal. The end goal is to have enough virtual real estate or virtual or apps that will make you enough money to sustain your lifestyle. Now, I'd rather have 10 apps making me $500 a month than one app making me $5,000 a month. And the reason for that is the same reason, like I said earlier, if you're investing, it's good to diversify your portfolio. You don't want to put all your money in the stocks, because if the stocks crash, you lose everything. You want to diversify it out. Same thing with your apps. So one thing I tell app developers, and especially beginner app developers, because they tend to be the most optimistic. They have the dream coming in, like, oh, I'm going to be a millionaire with this app. Everybody goes through it once they get these app development skills. I went through it, and you can't. It's good to focus one app at a time and get an app done, but do not put all your eggs in one basket. It's good to have 2 to 3 projects under your belt that you're spending time on. Because what you're going to notice is that the coding part is the easiest part. Especially if you're writing the code yourself, you're going to develop a certain coding flow. You're going to code your apps in a certain way. So like, I write all of my apps myself. I do the front end, I do the back end, I do the DevOps, I do all the networking, I do everything. So I've gotten to the point where basically most of my apps start off with a template. And then, every app is different. You have to code in various, differences depending on the app. But more or less, you code the same way. Your logic is the same. So once you get used to writing an app, and I always tell people to write some BS apps before they try to write that app that they're going to try to make money with. Diversify. have multiple apps that you're working on and that you have out that people can test. Have a portfolio, make a personal website. One of the things I tell people to do is make your own website. You know, it's cool to use WordPress. Like I use WordPress for my site because, but that's because I already have my portfolio to show on there, so it's easier and a better use of my time to use WordPress. But a good first project is to design your own website. And that in and of itself is an app. Now, most people don't understand the difference between a website and a web app. Now, if your site is having dynamic stuff, you know, you're collecting emails, you're sending out notifications, stuff like that, that's an application. A website is just a static, you know, welcome to my page, nothing ever changes on there. And no one does that anymore. We're in the age of web apps. So write a blog. The blog is the first web application that they teach you. It's like the canonical hello world of web development. So where was I going with that? Basically been rambling on and on, but microtransactions is basically the gist of what I was saying. If you're going to go the in-app purchase route, if you're going to go the subscription route, I explained this earlier, you want to probably work on using tiers. So, you know, have a free, some people say don't have a free plan because it devalues your product. I say do have a free plan and make it very limited. And I have various reasons why I say that, and I can get into that later. But I always advocate having a tier program, have a free version, have like a bronze version, a silver version, and a gold version, and maybe even a platinum version. And the key is to, you know, make sure that for each version and whatever you put the charge for, that you're giving them that value. Like, yes, you know, the gold version should, or, you know, your top tier version should have everything, right? It should be the platinum tier. You should have all the bells and whistles. But your silver version shouldn't be like so crappy in comparison to the gold version that, you know, people will be disgruntled when they buy the gold version. Like, oh, I'm gonna get the gold version because, you know, that's the only one that makes sense, but I feel like I'm being forced to do it. You know, you want your people to have a sense of trust there. Advertisements. Now, advertisements is probably the way to get money the fastest, but you're not going to get as much. So basically, ads perform on one of two principles. You have CPM and CPC, so cost per mille and cost per click. So CPM, cost per mille, is how much money you get per 1,000 rotations. So for every 1,000 people that see an ad banner, how much money will you get from that ad banner? It's usually a few cents to at most like $5, $10. And then you have cost per click, which is more, usually costs more than cost per mille. And those you get paid on CPM whether they click on it or not. Just the rotation, them seeing the ad, you get paid for that. And then CTC or CPC ads, you only get paid when someone clicks on that ad. And those you generally pay higher, but usually less. You're gonna get less people clicking, so the click-through rate is lower. I would not depend on advertisement to bring you the majority of your income. One, because it takes in order to get to the step where you're getting so much ad money from your app where you're self-sustaining, you're probably already wealthy and you're already well known, because it takes so many people just to get a few bucks. Like I said, you only made $50. If you you know, you would have to have hundreds of thousands a month We're not just that one time, but coming back to your app every day for you to generate, you know, $100,000. So advertising is good because it can provide some money, and like I said, there's multiple ways you can work with that. If you have a butt ton of apps and each one of them only have a few thousand, you're still going to get a lot of money because you have a bunch of apps in different niches, and so collectively you might have hundreds of thousands of people dispersed across your app. But I would unless you're working on a video game. See, those kind of that's why Flappy Bird was making 30,000, because you have so many people playing Flappy Bird, you have millions of downloads, and all these ads are rotating. Of course, he's going to get 30,000. But if you're writing like a network monitoring app, you're not going to get a bunch of money from ads because people are only going to pull that app once every, few months when they're going to a new Wi-Fi zone. People aren't going to be using that app enough to really justify having the app open that long enough to see that many ads. So for that scenario, it would probably be more efficient to do a flat out selling of the app for $1 on the App Store. I think that's about it for the app revenue, unless you guys have any other questions. But I think right now I'm going to go to Bitcoin. I got another request. This one was from, hold on, let me go back. Andy Remarius. I hope I'm saying that right. Andy Remarius. Sorry, I know I butchered that. I apologize, Andy. But Andy asked, do I know something about Bitcoin? So I told him yes, and I would talk about this on the stream. So for those who do not know what Bitcoin is a digital cryptocurrency. And what that means is, and it's decentralized. So what that means is there's no central authority, no central bank that regulates Bitcoin. It is true supply and demand. So Bitcoin can only be bought and mined. It really can only be mined, and then once it's mined out, people sell them. But mining is the process of making your computer part of the Bitcoin network, and you're solving the transactions that settle each, or you're solving the map for each transaction. So let's say I give you 1 Bitcoin. There's this thing called the blockchain, and it's a public ledger of every Bitcoin transaction that has ever occurred, and everyone has access to it, and that prevents fraud. So if I send you 1 Bitcoin, in order for that to be valid, all the miners verify that transaction, basically. And when a transaction is verified, you are awarded so many Bitcoin. And this can be used like any other currency. Actually, today, India officially made Bitcoin an official currency. I just saw an article. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick, because I get certain Google alerts, and I'm heavily invested in Bitcoin, so I like to know about it. So you're like, for this high school dropout who invested in Bitcoin at $12 is now a millionaire. I can't find it. But I was reading before the stream that India, is making Bitcoin an official currency. So nobody can regulate it. So it's true supply and demand. Some people say it's backed by the amount of electricity that it takes to generate the equation for a Bitcoin transaction. It's really just supply and demand. So right now, let me see, one Bitcoin, BTC to dollar. One Bitcoin equals $2,709.79 for one Bitcoin. And for example, out in California, you can use Bitcoin to pay your rent and stuff like that. If you use Stripe to write your apps, you can accept Bitcoin as a payment. I accept Bitcoin as payment in my apps. I should have gotten into mining back in the day. Now you have to buy special computers that do nothing but mine, because it takes that much computing power to mine new Bitcoins. Now you can do things like pool your resources together in a cloud pool, and everybody puts their computer resources, and then you split the Bitcoins. Another thing, Bitcoin can the smallest amount of Bitcoin is called a Satoshi, and it's 1/1,000,000th of a Bitcoin. So you can break down Bitcoin down to the millionth. So I don't have to send you $2,709.79 worth of stuff. I can break it down to half Bitcoins, quarter Bitcoins, and so on and so forth. But yeah, I mean, it's just like, if you were to go over to Mexico and you exchange your dollars for pesos, it's a currency, but no government controls it. And that's the kicker. It's peer to peer. But the thing about that is that also means it's not federally backed. So, like if someone robs the bank and takes your money, you're FDIC insured, right? Well, now with Bitcoin, it's like you have cash and someone runs up on you on the street and they take your money. Your money's gone. It's gone. Or if you take your dollar and you burn it, it's gone, never to be seen again. So you have this thing called the Bitcoin wallet, and you can post it up in the cloud, which I do not recommend because hackers will take it. Or you can host it locally. You put on a secure thumb drive or what have you. And that's the address at which people will send Bitcoin to you. So and that's where all your Bitcoin is stored in your wallet. So you have to keep that safe. Like I said, if you lose it, it's gone forever. Other than that, it's just like using cash. You can exchange. There's Bitcoin exchanges. More and more governments are recognized. I saw something. I didn't get to read the article. I saw something about Oregon talking about something with Bitcoin using to pay state taxes. I didn't, like I said, I didn't get to read it. I'll try to find it for Thursday and talk about it. But other than that, that's pretty much it about Bitcoin. It's not that complicated. So, like I said, you can either buy it on exchange or mine it. I need to start investing more in it, and Ethereum, which is another cryptocurrency. Economists are saying it's going to hit something like $20,000, $30,000 of Bitcoin, and I believe them. So even if you got $5, take $5 out of every paycheck and go buy a little bit of Bitcoin. Eventually you'll get there. If you come up on a bonus, just throw that money in there, because it's good to not have all your money in dollars. I recommend people buy some precious metals like silver and gold. I recommend you take some of your money, you exchange it for renminbi, because China is up and coming in the economic world. Just not a whole bunch, but just a little bit, because you never know what's going to happen, when a currency might rise and fall. I used to be real big into forex, foreign currency exchanging, but I kind of got out of that because I don't really mess with that or stocks anymore. More of just, I'm trying to break into the real estate game and sticking with this app development for the meantime. But I see we got some people in here. Anybody want to say hi to in chat room? Where you are? If you have any questions, now is the time. Remember, anybody who's watching this later who missed the live stream, you can tweet me at MasterShake08. That's SHAKE08 on Twitter, and use the hashtag Tech Talk Thursday and Tech Talk Tuesday to ask your questions, and I'll respond on the corresponding day, or leave them in the comments below. That's also acceptable. But I also had two more comments that I want to talk about for this stream, unless you guys have any more questions for me. So another one, my boy Simon, one of my followers from France, he asked me what did I think about AR technology. And for those who don't know what AR is, AR stands for Augmented Reality. So everyone knows the Pokemon Go app. That's an AR app. So you have the physical world behind you, and then you're overlaying images on top. Snapchat filters, Instagram filters, the little dog faces and flowers and stuff. That's augmented reality. You have the real world and you're overlaying digitally on top of it. So AR and VR are very interesting topics in computer, and they're hot topics in computer science right now. I am more of a VR fan than I am an AR fan, but I do believe that AR is going to revolutionize spaces like the medical industry, social media. So, for example, Sony is working on these contact lenses that are AR lenses. So, like, you can do things like they're cameras. So you can like blink twice and it'll start recording, blink once, it'll take a picture. It's got an open developer kit. So like you can do things like connect it to, Google Vision API and Instagram API. And if people are on your friends list or whatnot, I mean, I'm just throwing stuff off the top of my head, because with software development, the possibilities are endless. But theoretically, yeah, you can do things like, Andy, you just missed the Bitcoin talk. I am so sorry. However, we're watching live, so there's a DVR feature. You should be able to go back. Like, you literally just missed it less than 2 minutes ago. But I will go and I'll recap after I finish this. But what was I saying? What's up, Dames? How you doing, bro? What was I saying? I saw that comment, totally threw me off. Wow, totally lost my train of thought. Oh my gosh, what was that? Oh yeah, AR. So yeah, and the lenses. So like I said, so I can look at you, and if we're friends on Instagram or whatever, or there's so much public data out here and stuff now that you probably don't even need to use the Instagram API. But I can look at you and be like, oh hey, you're John Doe is linking up to your Facebook account, and I can see your profile picture. I can click once and go see your Instagram, and I can see all your photos and all stuff. This all can be done programmatically, and all done with augmented reality. So another use is like the medical field, right? So if a doctor has like some AR glasses, or let's stick with the contacts. They got these Sony contacts in, and they're operating on a patient, and you wrote a program to using computer vision, it can detect. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. It can detect a weak vein while you're in the surgery, and it'll overlay. Fantastic. AR, Dames, augmented reality. So, so you're operating on the arm, the doctor's got the contacts in, and then an overlay pops up like, we noticed that this vein is about to bust. You might want to put in a stent or whatever it's called. Like I said, I'm not a doctor. But using computer vision, we can give ourselves information about the real world at computer speed. So that is how, I know, it reminds me of DBZ too, right? Like the scanners. Yeah, we're coming in the world of scanners. About to say, what is your power level? I see that coming. I really do. Like, another thing is like we have all these biometrics. So, like you have these things you can swallow now, and your battery acid powers it, or the acid powers the battery in it, and it'll give you updates about your heart, your digestive system, and how much energy your muscles are expending, all kinds of data. And we live in a world right now with so much data, it's crazy. If you get enough data about someone, you can predict what they're doing. For example, I got offered a job. I got offered an interview, didn't take the job with Uber, working on a new project that they have called Crystal Ball. And what Crystal Ball is it is a predictive analytics platform. So they could do things like, for example, pick a street corner in China, in Shanghai, and it will tell them with like 90-something% accuracy how much money they're going to make that day or that week or that hour, that year, how many customers are going to pick up, and where those customers are probably going to go based off predictive analytical data they've gathered over the last X years. And this is anywhere in the world. And the kicker is it will update in real time. That's scary. Like, think about that. If corporations are doing this, what are governments doing? A corporation has a financial incentive to to predict these sort of things from their shoppers. But governments are well, why would a government do this? And a government has a power to do so. They're going to do it. That's just the nature of power. So, we use all these services, Facebook, Twitter, Uber, and we're giving all this data out. And I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with the Vault 7 hack, the WikiLeaks Vault 7 hack that came out, I want to say it was last month. But in this WikiLeaks dump, it was explaining the CIA basically made its own in-house NSA that doesn't have to report. See, there's like this political struggle between the CIA, the FBI, and the NSA. There's various, reasons why that goes on, but a lot of it has to do with like budgeting, trying to outdo each other to get a bigger budget. So, and a lot of times they won't work each other as fluid as you think the top intel agencies should and would work together. So one of the things that the CIA did to get around this was that they built their own in-house NSA. And this in-house NSA was tasked with basically finding 0 days in a bunch of tech. And a 0 day is a hack that hasn't been made known to the public. It's been known for 0 days. DBZ, Death Note, not familiar anymore with Naruto, Boruto, and Bleach. Oh man, you gotta catch up on your DBZ. Just go to YouTube after this stream and binge watch DBZ from the first saga. But anyway, what was I saying? There you go. I'm looking at the comments and I keep getting distracted. So yeah, so you got all this data. Oh yeah, Vault 7. So Vault 7 was this WikiLeaks dump from the CIA, and explains how the CIA was hacking into Android phones, iPhones, Samsung TVs, Facebook accounts, you name it. The CIA was hacking into everything. For example, the Samsung TVs. They were telling people, don't discuss sensitive information in front of your Samsung TV or your Alexa or your Google Home or any of these things, because this data is being transmitted. Your voice signals are being transmitted, and it's got to be stored and analyzed for them to get your result back. So For example, you get on your phone and you're like, okay, Google, what is the forecast today?
Tonight's forecast for Danville is 84 degrees and partly cloudy.
All right. So in order for that to work, it has to send that command to a Google server. That Google server has to analyze what you're saying. After it gets the analysis, it has to perform a Google search. It gets the search results, sends it back to your phone, and then reads it out to you. In order for it to understand when you say, okay, Google, it has to be listening 24/7 and constantly sending and analyzing what you are saying. That is the only way for it to work.
Here's what I found on the web.
Shut up. So people don't take that into account, I think. Who knows what's on Google servers? There are all kinds of crime confessions and all sorts of stuff stored on Google servers, because I don't believe for 1 second that they're not storing at least part of it. They have to, because these algorithms are learning algorithms. They have to interpret the data in order to get better. And these are things that people just aren't thinking about. Yeah, no buttons pressed, just your voice. I'm actually one of the apps I'm gonna do tomorrow, because I messed up my live stream from last week. I was streaming at like 3 a.m. and I was dead tired, making silly mistakes. I need to finish that app, but I'm thinking the Wednesday after that, I'm going to write a voice activated web app so I can show you guys how this stuff is being implemented, not only on mobile but on the web, because you can do the same thing. This tech right now designed to spy on you. That's why I stay away from the newest phone. Yeah, not just the newest phone. Like, you can have an old phone, but if you get these new and improved upgrades, these firmware upgrades, they're putting all kinds of stuff in this new software. So it's not even just the hardware. The hardware is nothing without the software. And this is why I'm a huge advocate of writing my own code. Like, I like using and I'm going old. I need a flip phone. It's like my wife, she had a flip phone, man, for the longest, rocking it old school gangster. And I miss that flip phone. It makes me want a flip phone, because there's so much stuff going on. It's like I haven't rooted this phone yet, but I usually root all my phones, take off all the stock stuff. I usually put on CyanogenMod or another hacker-friendly operating systems, because I just don't trust. I don't trust the cell phone companies. Windows 10 is the worst. I hate Windows 10. I hate Windows 10. I hate Windows in general. I'm a Linux guy. But so I wrote this app called Socket Droid. And you can go download the app or go to the web app socketdroid.com. And it's an app that allows you to track and control any phone who has the app downloaded under your account. So you can do things like do real-time GPS tracking, and it'll pop up on a Google map in real time. So which Linux do you prefer? I'm Ubuntu Linux, Debian. I like Linux Mint also, but I use Ubuntu Studio because it's the Ubuntu flavor for people who need to do like music, video, and audio. I'm learning the music editing software so I can produce my own music, and also learning video editing software. So when I'm not doing my live streams, when I do my recordings, I can edit them, make them look nicer and stuff like that. But Ubuntu, what was I saying again? My brain hurts. I've been working on a database app for Tariq. Been working on a few other apps, and my brain is you use Ubuntu. Yeah. So do you use Snap on your Ubuntu? I've been looking at Snap and thinking about developing some Snap apps. I really like that, especially for like IoT platforms. Uh, but I'll get into that. Oh yeah, Socket Droid. So yeah, so let's say I was in the car driving with my phone, and my wife got on Socket Droid, and she hit the track GPS button in real time on the web app. The Google Map is going to show where I'm at, and not just on a pin, but she can see it in the street view, and it's updating the street view where I'm driving. You can open up the microphone and start listening in. You can open up the camera. You can grab all the text messages. You can send text from the phone remotely. You can send push notifications to the phone. What else? What else can you do on there? I think that's everything I have right now. You were talking about your Socket app. Yeah, so I wrote that myself, and I'm just one person. So what is the government doing? People don't think about that. And there's also limitations to these APIs. Like the GPS location, you can't get unless you have to go out of your way to figure out how to locate the GPS in actual real time. There's a delay with it associated. But the government's not. They don't give a damn about no delay. They hacking into that. If they wanted to, at any point in time, they can open up my microphone. They can open up my camera. They can open up my GPS. They can read your text messages, your Snapchats, all the stuff that people think are that are keeping you safe. Like the app Signal is used for encrypting your text messages. There's a 0-day that was in Vault 7 where they get bypassed the encryption. It hits your phone before the encryption layer even touches the message. They are ahead of us. And now they're trying to outlaw net neutrality. They're trying to outlaw encryption. And I'm afraid that these laws are going to pass because there's not enough people who know about computer science. There's not enough people who know why stuff like encryption and security is needed. We're just enjoying the benefits as a society. But I digress. I think I'm going to go on to the next topic, the last comment topic, rather. And then I'm basically going to leave it up to you guys. We got a lot of people in the chat room. So I want to talk about what you guys want to talk about. So Emporia Prime was talking about, let me pull up the comment. Emporia Prime. 24 minutes in, I'm realizing I want to be a software engineer. However, me and math are arch foes, LOL. I plan on taking math courses anyway for possible engineering courses, just for my own personal passion. But I didn't know math was that involved in software engineering. Folks have used programmer and engineer interchangeably, and you're the first to clear it up. Let me ask you, what advice would you give to someone who wants to do software engineering, software development? Most definitely, what learning path would you suggest? I am on HTML and CSS, then on to JavaScript, jQuery, MySQL, PHP, Python, WordPress, Ruby on Rails, Java. I want to try my hand at C++, Linux, cloud computing, robotics eventually. Should I just continue as I am now? Or what would you suggest I should learn to cut my learning time down with priority skills learned first? Thank you in advance. That was a mouthful. So, Emporia. No, there's no such thing as privacy, James. There was no privacy back in the 70s. There was this project, what is that project called? Hold on. There was a project back in the 70s where basically all communications, all of them, go straight to the government. So even when we got internet and stuff like that, we'd already been in the system. But while I'm looking at it, going back to Emporia. So Emporia is basically asking what is the best way to go about being a software engineer. And for those who do not know the distinction between a software developer and a software engineer, a software engineer is tasked with creating solutions for a problem. That is where the engineer part comes in, using your ingenuity to create a solution for a problem. So a customer will say, hey, we need this real-time data pipeline that is going to push, this speed, and it needs to have a redundancy server and an API to interact with. Okay, cool. Software engineer makes the will line it up and make the actual engineering decisions to create it, and then in conjunction with software developers or software programmers, build out that application. But a programmer isn't involved in the engineering task. They're just there to program. They're given the task and they implement it. Software engineer is given the task and asked to come up with the solution and implement it. So she said she. I'm assuming Emporia is a girl. The government wants to pass a law to seize your Bitcoin when you travel. Do you have a link for that? That's interesting. I haven't heard that, but it doesn't surprise me. It really doesn't. But Emporia, math, although math is very important, the math that you're going to use we don't live in the 60s anymore. We don't live in the dawn of age of computer science. So most of the intensive stuff has already been taken care of. You just have to understand the theory of what you're doing, and then you can use those libraries to implement. Now, if you're trying to become that person that is trying to be on the frontier and create the things that haven't been created before, then it would be good to take some higher level math, the calculuses, the differential equations, physics 1, physics 2, just because you want to be a well-educated engineer. And I believe that the classic sciences and classic maths put your mind in that mindset to be a good engineer on engineering principle. Now, as far as your priority for learning, like I said in the comment, I would stick with the web technologies first, particularly front end, the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Don't really focus on the back end, although when you get to that, I thoroughly suggest PHP first, with particularly Laravel. It's the most popular PHP framework, because the Laravel framework also uses like Node.js and other technologies all in one framework. So stick with front-end web dev, because that is the hot demand right now. You can write websites, web apps. You can write mobile apps with hyper development. The web reaches every platform. You can write a web app and it's going to run on Windows, it's going to run on mobile, it's going to run on iOS, Android. It can run on Raspberry Pi. It can run on anything. No, I didn't know you was going to read my comment for your other video. Stay at my Quest Live. Okay, cool. You're a dude. Awesome. So yeah, I'm gonna read all these comments. I'm trying to build up my fan base, and I don't have anything to talk about straight for an hour. I want some interaction from you guys. But anywho, yeah. So stick with the front end web, because that's high demand, dude. You get your skills up there. It is not unheard of to make $250,000 a year being a full stack web developer. It's not uncommon. You can make high six figures. It's nothing. And you can work from home like me. It's nothing. So you spend a good 3 to 6 months learning front-end web dev. Make a couple projects on your own. Put it on the GitHub. If you can do the entrepreneurial route, do a couple projects for some small businesses, build up a repertoire, and then you can skip the entry level and go straight to mid-level. Now, I have never done a junior level or a mid-level job. I went straight to senior level, but I did 10 years of my own business practice before I went out and did the corporate consulting. But you can do the same thing, because junior, 50,000 is cool. That's a good starting salary, but you can spend a few more months, do some projects, and go straight to mid and make 80, 90,000. So I thoroughly suggest keep grinding, do what you're doing. Learn front-end web dev, do some couple projects, get some money in pocket. Once you secure a web development job and you got that security and that software programmer income coming in, then start focusing on a back language. And then if you want to go into robotics and stuff like that, I would start there. If you're being a good web developer and consistent web developer, you're going to learn Linux because you have to. You're going to get stuck doing stuff, so you're going to naturally have to research how to do this on Linux. So if you want to learn Linux, program every day. Program every day, learn a new technology, break shit. That's how you're going to learn it. What's up with ethical hacking? Can you elaborate? Can you do front end, back end web dev tutorials? Damn, bro, this is what I'm talking about. Okay, cool. All right, well, I'm glad to help. Dames, ethical hacking. So you have white hat and black hat hacking. It comes from the term, there was this dude, I cannot remember his name for the life of me, but he went to jail for a long time for hacking. When he came out, he said, I am a white hat hacker now. And now he consults with businesses and gets their security and stuff up to date. But basically, ethical hacking or penetration hacking or white hat hacking is basically when you are using your hacking skills, you go to a company and you're like, hey, I noticed a security flaw. Pay me and let me hack into your network. Point to you where those holes are, and then show you how to fix it so people like me with my skills won't get in and steal your shit. So it's basically pimping. It's basically hack pimping. You know, you're fear mongering. You're showing people, hey, this is how somebody like me can go in and steal $1 million from you. You better pay me 80 grand and keep me here for 6 months, and I'll show you how to get your stuff together. So anybody wants to learn hacking, there's a free operating system called Kali Linux, K-A-L-I. And it is Linux for hackers. Its only existence is to teach you how to hack. So if you want to learn how to hack, download Kali Linux. If you get a Raspberry Pi, my Raspberry Pi. Hold on 1 second. Where's it at? Thought I had it right here. It must be downstairs. But yeah, I would suggest get a little Raspberry Pi for $30. Put Kali Linux on there and learn how to hack. But yeah, it's pimping. So there's nothing different between ethical hacking and non-ethical hacking except you just being a snitch and telling people, hey, this is what can happen to you. Pay me money. And front end, back end web dev tutorial. So yeah, so right now with my intro to HTML tutorials, that's basically a front end. The emoji robbery of hacking. That's funny as shit. But front end, I'm basically laying the foundation for my front end and back end web dev tutorials. So working on the HTML. I didn't get to stream last Friday. So Mondays and Fridays, I'm trying to do my tutorials. Wednesdays, I'm trying to do an app every Wednesday, a live stream app, so you guys can see the process. And I would like you guys to comment on what kind of apps you want to see being written so I can write those kind of apps. And on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'm doing the tech talks. So Monday tutorial, Tuesday tech talk, Wednesday app, Thursday tech talk, Friday tutorial. And I'm still trying to figure out what's the best time to do this stream. I'm figuring maybe, around this time, I tend to get the most interaction, and I appreciate it. I'm going to do my shout out real quick. Everybody, don't forget to go to Treat Me at Home. It's my startup. That's treatmeathome.online. I need customers and service providers. I'm going to be launching Indiegogo soon. Check it out. Support me. Share it. And if you haven't already, like and subscribe to this page. But back to front-end dev. So I'm going to be working on front-end dev on the Mondays and Friday tutorials. After I'm trying to break it down and come up with on this day I need to do this, on this day I need to do this, because there's so much. It's so there's so much to cover. I know that I need to do like core videos, and then over the lifetime of my YouTube channel, I'll do like in-depth little videos on like the intricacies of the language and stuff like that. But I'm trying to come together with like what are the core things that I need to teach, because in my mind I just want to like teach it all, but I know that's not plausible for what I'm trying to accomplish, which is trying to teach you guys corporate ready skills, so you guys can go out, start working on your own app so you can get a job. Other than that, the back end is pretty much the same thing, because eventually what I'm trying to teach you guys is Laravel and React.js. That's what I'm working at. And then from there, after we're done with the web dev, I'm going to move on to like Python and IoT, and then I'm gonna move on to I eventually want to do a hacking course, so teaching you guys hacking skills. But I figured, start off with web development, since that's hot in demand right now. I'd love to hear some success stories of you guys learning how to code and getting a job. That would make me very happy. And then from there, Investopedia. Oh wow. All right, hold on. I'm checking out this Investopedia link that Andy sent. HTML5 is so common right now because you have to understand what the web is. Okay. So hold on, Investopedia.com. So, okay. The web is ran on a protocol, and that protocol is HTTP, Hypertext Transfer Protocol. Everything that requires the internet runs on this protocol, and HTML is the language of the web. So when you write something in HTML, anything that can interpret HTTP can interact and display that web page that you made. So whereas if you write an Android app, you're only limiting yourself to the Android platform. If you write an iOS app, you're only limiting yourself to iOS. Even if you write a hybrid app that compiles to Android and iOS, you're still only limiting yourself to Android and iOS. When you write a web app, I can look at it on my desktop. I can look at it on my phone. And that phone could be iOS. It could be Android. I can look at it on a tablet. I can look at it on a Raspberry Pi. I can look at it on a smartwatch. I can look at it on a TV, on my Xbox, PlayStation 4. Anything that can connect to the internet. So if you're trying to write an app that reaches the world, you don't have to worry about, oh man, I wrote this iPhone app, but I'm trying to reach it over in India, and most people over there don't have iPhones. You can just write a web app. So it's in high demand. And another thing is, like I said, you can use HTML and JavaScript and CSS to write mobile apps. So if you are adept in web technologies, you are not only a web developer, you're also a mobile app developer. And that's powerful because you can charge a shit ton of money. I'm talking dude, I know people who charge $150, $200 an hour, 40 hours worth of work. It's like $8,000 a week. So that's crazy. Let's see, Emporio. You should do a playlist like an HTML playlist, CSS playlist, or a beginner playlist, intermediate, etc. that folk can binge watch for a weekend. Yeah, I'm working towards that. That's why I'm diligently trying to do the Monday through Friday daily streams, so I can build up my list. I think I only have like 28 videos right now. And also trying to come up with a concise schedule, because some people tell me I should do recordings, but I really like doing it live because I like the interaction with you guys. So, you know, that's what I like doing. Yeah, dude. Like, I mean, the most I've ever charged for a site, for an hourly for a gig was $100 an hour. You know, I'm feeling myself on that. These dudes talking about they doing 150, 200. I can't fathom that. You know, you could work 10 hours a week and that's still $100 grand with that money. That's crazy. But you know, as much money as that is, that's still nothing compared to residual income when you factor in time, because these guys, they still have to go in and clock in for that 200 an hour. So as much money as that is, if they don't work, then, you know, don't really mean nothing. Whereas if you are making residual income with an app, you just making money and you're keeping your time. Yeah, I definitely encourage people to do both. I definitely encourage people to do both, especially starting out. I think the end goal, at least the end goal for me anyway, the end goal is to, you know, do as much active work as I need to until I get to the point where my residual income is just so ridiculous that it makes no sense for me to actively work. Because I mean, I wanna do philanthropy. I wanna start other businesses and like I said, get into real estate and do stuff like that. You know, I want to travel. I want to spend time with my family. I don't really care about going into an office that much. And that's why I'm going really hard on my apps. Speaking of which, tell me what you guys think about this. What do you guys think about this? I got this in Amsterdam. They gave it to me at my booth. And I've been trying to put it behind me on the wall, but like the Velcro keeps coming off. But really proud of this. Anyway. Somebody asked me, I can't remember who or where, but you know, I told that is when your Shadow Clone Jutsu will come to play. Shadow Kagebushin no Jutsu. That's funny. I studied Japanese, by the way, in case you guys didn't know. But yeah, somebody asked me about my violin playing and my music and how I do like music and technology. So, for those who don't know, I have been playing violin since I was 9 years old, classically trained, and yeah, the app hasn't come. So I play violin, and I wanted to pursue music in college, but I knew computer science obviously is more lucrative. And like I said, I already been doing computer science before I went to college, but you know, I feel like it would be better to do computer science. But you need a backdrop banner. I do. But oftentimes, you know, I do like feel like these urges where I just want to focus on music. You know, outside of violin, you know, well, inside violin, I like to focus on hip hop violin. That's just particularly what I really enjoy, and also I rap. I haven't posted anything, and I really would like to before the end of the year. But it's mostly just for like artistic type stuff. I really like writing my own lyrics. I like doing my own beats, but you know, I haven't gotten to the digital side of it. But actually, as far as the bridge with technology, I heard you be selling violin kits as plugs for producers. Yep, sure do. You got eventually. Anyway, that's the next step. some more passive income. But you know, I've done a lot of work for musicians. Like, for example, I did Mr. Vegas's music website. In case anybody who doesn't know what Mr. Vegas is, just Google Mr. Vegas. I did a website for the Rapper Arcade. I'm working on a cloud-based mixer board. So basically, you know, stuff like Fruity Loops, but in the cloud. It's a big project. I've only get to work on it every so often. But like, music is really important to me, and eventually I want to do a bunch of music-based apps. But I think it's very important as an engineer to have some sort of artistic hobby. When I was in California, a lot of the engineers I worked with were like in band. I had one friend, he did a European tour with a band, and this dude was 58 years old. You know, I got another dude I worked with, you know, he plays guitar, and a dude, you know, drummer. A lot of engineers are musicians, and I think that it balances me out as an engineer to have that sort of balance. What are you saying? I've seen hip hop violins. That is dope. Yeah, I mean, hip hop violin is really dope. Actually, let's see. Where's my violin at? Here it is. If it's in tune, I'll play something. Just because I feel like it. Actually, no, I won't, because my kid's asleep. And if I wake them up, I'd be highly upset, actually. But maybe tomorrow before I start my live stream, because they'll probably still be up. Dude from Dave Matthews Band, yep. Here's another one. Have you seen Black Violin and Nothing But Strings and Black Violin? Those two groups are really good. You need that balance, art with the science. Yeah. If I didn't have it, I'd be on some weird, cracked mad scientist type shit. But did I address the last comment? I think I did, but I need to just check because I feel bad if I didn't. I believe that was all. Bitcoin. All right, cool. All right, I'm gonna leave this up now to Q&A. Do you guys have any questions? You guys have any? My balance is films. I want to make films starting with a web series. I'm gonna hook you up with my dude Josh Griffin. I think he's in here. I saw Team Shooty Shoot in here. Are you in here, Josh? Link up with this dude. He said he's into films. My best friend, he's the godfather of my children. He does films. He's also in computers. He's a network engineer. I'm gonna start coding. Which one do you suggest for a beginner? So Andy, like I said, I suggest starting with the web technologies. So HTML, CSS, JavaScript. I did an intro to HTML on my page. You can look it up. And on Friday, I'm going to be doing the intro to CSS. But if you learn HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and HTML, CSS, dude, I was 10 years old when I started learning HTML and CSS. Okay? I wrote my first web page the first weekend I started learning. It's dirt simple. JavaScript is where the lifelong learning is going to come in. But even that is a simple language to get a hold of. So I suggest you go back to my old videos, look at the intro to HTML. Like I said, on Friday, I'm going to be doing a live stream, continuing that video, doing intro to CSS. And then on the following Monday, I'm going to do a live stream intro to JavaScript. So if you just follow me, I'm going to go over that. And like I said, the first videos, I'm rushing through it a little bit just to do a bare bones introduction. And then in the subsequent weeks, I'm going to be going more in depth over each individual topic. But I want to do a general overview of what it is. So if you seem kind of confused and it's going fast, it's because it is going fast. And I design it in a way where I'm kind of forcing you to do your own research a little bit. I don't want to give you everything because that's what's going to make you better, you know. And no problem, Dames, and thank you everybody for the support. Which program do you use for your HTML5? So I use Atom. It's made by GitHub. That's the IDE or integrated development environment that I use. You can go to atom.io and download it. It's free. And you can also do Notepad. You can, do whatever you want. Atom, like the atom bomb. Actually, here, I'm just gonna put it in here. Atom.io. HTTPS. There you go. I'll just put it in the chat. So you should be able to see it there. Let me know if that works or not. Yeah. And the cool thing about Atom is Atom has a ton of plugins. Like you can integrate Git, you can open up a terminal. What operating system are you using, Andy? Atom wouldn't download on my laptop. What operating system are you using? If Atom doesn't work, there's also Sublime. There's also, what's the other one? It's Atom and can't remember. Atom should download though. What platforms are you guys using? Because I'm Linux and Windows 10. Yeah, I mean, I know for a fact it's gonna work for Linux. It was written on Linux. Windows 10. Windows 10 is hit or miss. I can't stand Windows. I haven't been on Windows for real in like 4 years. I have a dual boot on my laptop, and the only time I ever get on Windows is just to play my video games. So I don't open up any other programs. Question: how hard is it to find people to work with people who look like you? You are working with Tariq, but is it just you? You are working with Tariq, but is it just you? So in regards to me working with Tariq and all my contracts, it's always just me. I bring in help when I need it. I was blessed enough to meet some other black coders, so it's nothing for me to find, another black coder if I need be, but also one of my best friends, he's Asian. We grew up together. His family has shown me love my whole life, so I throw him work. But when I go to the corporate environment, I'm almost always the only black person in the building. Like, they usually almost always separate the tech building from the business building. So whenever I'm in the tech building, if I see another black person, they're not a coder. They're usually on the business side. So in that aspect, is very rare. I don't think I've ever been on one contract where there was 2 black people on the who were coders. Mac user, never look back. Yeah, I know it's gonna work for Mac. Download that for Mac. I'm on brackets for HTML, CSS. Okay. Dave's going to need to upgrade from Vista. Yeah, you need to upgrade from Vista. You need to upgrade from Vista and go to Linux. It's free. Do a dual boot, Dames. Do a dual boot. You can hit me up on WhatsApp if you need help. But you can partition. You can take a part of your hard drive, so like 8 gigs, and you can put Linux on there. Or, yeah, that's what I would do. Just put Linux on there. Download it for free. Here, I'm going to put this. And you like, let's see, you're a music guy, so I'm gonna show you Ubuntu Studio. Okay. Dames, I want you to look at this link and I want you to download this. This is Ubuntu Studio right there. Partition your hard drive, give it like 8 gigs. Man, I love Mac. It's much simpler. Haven't been on Windows consistently like 7 or 8 years. You know, I'm a Linux guy now. I've worked at Apple. I was the youngest and the only black person on the DevOps on the mobile apps team. I was a senior engineer on the DevOps team for the mobile apps team, which wrote the mobile app, so the App Store app. So I like Mac's easy use. I hate them as a company, dude. I hate them. They're evil. Anytime, like the company that they contract with, Foxconn, the conditions are so bad they got to put up suicide nets. Like, think about that. Do you want to support a company that sends little African children out in the fields to get? There's this I can't remember the name of the material, but it's in the iPhone. It's highly toxic to the skin. They got little African babies and toddlers and shit in the water grabbing this stuff, no gloves. I don't really support I don't really support Apple like that. And they treated me horrible when I was there. So, there's my 2 cents on Apple. But what else y'all got? I know you got some more questions. What's everybody's current occupation? What's everybody doing right now while they're trying to learn how to code? I got to call Tariq tonight. He didn't answer my phone call earlier. Not to mention Android is open source. Yeah, it's my wonderful wife, Rebecca. Rebecca, where are you at? We want to come up, make an appearance real quick. And you're in the military. What branch of military are you? My father was a Marine. He was in Desert Storm. I have much respect for the military. Much respect. My wife brought up a good point. She said, and not to mention Android is open source. So when you're learning how to code, do not go proprietary technology. That's why I don't really Canadian infantry. Okay, that's what's up. Cell phones. Yeah, so Android is open source, meaning that the source code is free or open to the public. You can create commercial applications without having to pay a license. It's free. 90%, over 90% of companies, especially billion-dollar companies, Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, that was all written on free software. Apple built its fortune on free software. So I always tell people, learn Android over iOS, because iOS is proprietary. You got to pay them $100 a year just to code an app. Android is free, is open source. The web is free and open source. And writing desktop apps is free and open source. So always go with the open source technologies. So we have Andy, who's in the military. I know Dames is in the music industry. What about Emporia and Will? It's hard to find. It's hard for a black guy in the army. I bet. What's it like in Canada? Have you been to the States? And what was your experience there versus here? If you've been, what's it like being a black man in the military there? Also, what's the technology like in Canada? Is the government really open to technological advancement in Canada, or are they kind of like, eh? Oh snap! Yeah, I heard about the suicide nets and the cold train. Something that, Yeah. It's like culture and stuff like that. I just use the Mac laptop, nothing more because of that. No iPhone, nothing. Matter of fact, I want to get the Figures phone F1, was made by my brother with internet. Okay. Emporia, what do you do? What's your occupation? Oh man, I've been streaming for 90 minutes. Get that back up. Sorry about that. Let's see. I am in an awkward position of practicing programming and finding my first job. More open than the USA. More open than the USA for tech. That's what I figured. I don't know what I don't know what our government is doing, dude. Like, Obama was doing real good trying to do the code initiatives, and then it was like, yeah, we're in trouble if we don't start teaching it. Let's see. I'm an awkward in practicing program and finding my first job. So are you, Will? Are you fresh graduate out of college? Where are you trying to find a job, like location based, and what industry? And I might be able to give you some pointers on how to shorten that time, so you can have a focus on what you're trying to do based on where you're going. I know damn well that the Canadian government won't pass a law concerning Bitcoin. Man, that's crazy. I'm glad you all sent me that article. I'm gonna have to definitely post that. But yeah, it's I heard that your guys' internet out there isn't really good. Is that true or not? My current occupation is looking for another occupation. I ran a business that didn't last, so for the time being, I figured let me learn software so that I join tech and it pays good. Okay, I feel you. I feel you. Well, you're making a great investment. You know, uh, one of the people that I encouraged to go into coding, wasn't making the best choices before. It's gonna say it like that, and end up working for the Department of Defense. So anything's possible. And what's that? What's what, Andy? I don't know what you were referring to when you said what's that. But are you guys gonna tune in tomorrow? Watch me finish this app. And what time's good for? Is this time good to stream? Because this time I missed the question. You said what's that, and I didn't know what you were referring to when you said what's that. So I was asking. My question was, what was your question? But if this time is good, let me know, and I'll try to stream around this time. I remember in one of your videos, you said you thought your business was going to do well, so you slacked off one of your jobs, and it bit you. Yeah, that is me now. Yeah, you live in, yeah, that hurt my pride. That hurt my pride a lot. I'm, because I didn't, I kind of ran into the fallacy. I had the fallacy of, oh, this money's gonna, this contract's gonna last a lot longer than it ended up doing. So I wasn't as vigilant as I should have been on myself. And, it's a live and learn type situation. I try not to say, oh, I regret this or regret doing that, because you got to learn. You're not born out the womb knowing how to run business. Business is rough. It's feast or famine, as you know. The question that I missed, oh, my bad. The question that you missed was, I asked if you guys have any more questions. I believe that was the last thing I said. And also, are you guys going to tune in tomorrow while I finish up this app, and what time would be the best? Oh man, that's awesome. That's awesome. I need that needs to happen here. Yes, I am fresh out of college. I do mostly Android programming now, but I am more experienced doing web work. Well, learn both. Do both. That's what I do. I specialize in web programming first, Android secondly, and I say I do hybrid mobile, but usually Android is what I stick with because Java was the first language that I learned. The more languages that you learn, the more you can charge. Like I know C and C++, Python, Ruby, Java, JavaScript, HTML, CSS, PHP. I know Brainfuck. I know SQL. I know Perl. I know R. I know yeah, that's about it. So what is that? I know 12 languages. 6 is a good time. Yeah, this is a good time. Okay, so I'm assuming most of you guys are on the West Coast because it's 11:30 now. You're a tech genius. I appreciate that. Thank you. So are most of you guys Pacific time? If so, then yeah, I think 6. I can do 6. Well, I wouldn't call myself a genius. I started when I was 8, and I'm an avid reader, and I'm a kinesthetic learner. I just read and I do. I read and I do. I read and I do. And you do that when you're 8. You're gonna look like a genius, but anybody can do it. I mean, obviously, when you're younger, you have more time. You don't have responsibilities. This is why I strongly advocate people to get their children into coding. You don't have anything to do when you're 8 years old but learn or get in trouble. It's 10:30 Pacific. It's 10:30 here. Okay. Cool. Well, guys, I'll take one more question, and then I'm gonna get off here, and finish doing what I gotta do. I gotta call Tariq, give him an update for the app and whatnot. So one more question from whoever, first come, first serve, and I'm gonna hop off here. Sorry about the audio delay earlier in the show for those who were watching. I fixed it. Okay, so you're East Coast, so it's 11:30 over where you're at. That's where I'm on East Coast. Oh, by the way, I'm gonna give out my email and my phone number, put it in the chat. Anybody feel free to email me if you have any questions. This is jerome.parker@gmail.com. Outside the Army, you study carpentry and tiling. That's cool. That's good. That's a good skill to have. Not enough people have like tangible skills that they can do with their hand. But that's my email, and then also I have my phone number. If you have any inquiries, feel free to hit me up. But you gonna come make an appearance? Come make an appearance. My wife's here. Come make an appearance. Come on out here. It's my wife, Rebecca. Everybody, say hi.
Hi.
I got my phone number. It's area code 859-402-4863. Feel free to call, text. If you have any ideas you potentially want to work on, hit me up. I'm an open dude. So, but if that is everything, guys, awesome. If that is everything, guys, then I'm going to hop off here. I appreciate you guys rocking with me. Went longer than I planned on. I apologize for that. And if you haven't followed me already, like I said, my Instagram, my Twitter, my social media is at MasterShake08. Put it in the chat, MastaShake08. And also remember, I do a blog, JeromeParker.com. So If you go to jeromeparker.com and you subscribe, you'll get all of my updates. I have my tutorials in written form on there. So after I do the live stream, I'll also put the code up there, the links to my GitHub. If I have the app up live, I have the links up there, stuff like that. So I'm putting that in the chat too. It's jeromeparker.com, JYRONEPARKER.com. But once again, guys, I thank you. I appreciate you, and I will see you guys tomorrow.